Hello, we live streaming Subautica. Oh,
Passing 100 meters. Oxygen efficiency decreased. Passing 200 meters. Oxygen efficiency greatly decreased.
hmm.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
We're gonna just dump these here.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
Good, good. I have a lot of teeth. You know what? I think I want to establish a new base a little further deeper down. There we go. Hey, yo, wait. Now, low key, it should go in here with the glass. Yeah, it should. Figure you can go in here. I need to make a computer chip. Golden tube. Damn. Oh, shit.
Calorie intake recommended. Vital signs stabilizing.
Just what I'm looking for.
Seconds. Welcome aboard, Captain.
All right. Yeah. I need copper. That's gold. Ah.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
Oh, I need 3. I only have 2. Okay. Don't I have some in here? I'll go get some. Hmm. Sorry about that. That was my alarm clock. And we're dropping down. Ah, there it is. Yeah, I'm full.
Seek fluid intake. Basic fluid intake immediately. Vital signs stabilizing.
What am I going to need to move? I'm gonna need a lot of titanium, I ain't gonna start. I'm also gonna need a power source. Oh, we're just try to grab everything I need for a nuclear reactor. I'm gonna need one lead. And I need glass. And that's something I don't have. Let me check this, because I could have sworn I had some. Nope. Well.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Oh man, it totally doesn't freak me out. I know I'm not tripping. I ain't gonna hold you, that scared me for a second. Hmm. Hmm. Ugh. I'm somewhere near it. And there he is.
But we finally have some movement on the case, and I can finally report at least an update. And what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I just got finished putting together the initial draft for what looks to be one of the wildest stories I've covered in a long time. And I almost feel like this is just like scratching the surface of a nutty situation that goes extremely deep. Like, this is a rabbit hole that will go to China and beyond. I've never seen something that just every time you find something, there's like another layer connected to another layer. And it's just like, oh, this person's intertied with this person. And it's just all these connections behind the scenes. And all it goes back to relating is diversity, equity, and inclusion in the game industry. And a bunch of people behind the scenes working together to find ways to coerce game companies to work with them. And shout out to Madam Tabby for bringing all this together. Hit that subscribe if you like, and check out SmashJT.com for this full article that I will link in the description below. And I am right now in the back room. I have not published it yet, but it will go live when the video does. It's called The Hidden Influence Behind Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto Woke Censorship. And again, credit to Madam Tabby for uncovering what is a pretty insane situation. We're going to try my best to start off at the beginning because holy crap, this thread is wild. First off, this is what Madam Tabby posted on X, and it's a banger. It's a thread that just keeps on going, and then when she was done, she added a whole other section and added that to it as well. But basically, surmise it to Rockstar was being, we'll just say, coerced by some activists, ironically, one of them working at Kotaku, pushing an agenda of making sure that anything that could be considered anti-trans or trans jokes were removed from the video game because their feelings got hurt. But only trans. Because Grand Theft Auto kept everything else. The trans stuff, for whatever reason, went over the line. And it's something that I've seen.
Yeah, but it's kind of GTA, though.
But YouTube as a platform. Well, I've seen friends of the channel Hypnotic be wrecked by this situation where his channel has gotten strikes and videos got taken down by merely covering a situation with a trans person. And it just feels like it's a protected class that you're not even allowed to talk about, which is really weird when it comes to the freedom of art and expression and giving opinions on things, why there's one certain segment of a population that is just, for whatever reason, untouchable. But I digress. Anyways, shout out to Tappy for this. She made this thread about out making games, which, ironically, as you can see here, is no longer a thing. Right after she made this thread, they went to hiding, no different than what Wings did. Wings Interactive, when Master TDS came up with his scoop on the story and how they were related behind the scenes with game companies and Sweet Baby Inc. and all that stuff. All these people do. They all do the same thing. They all run and hide. As soon as the light gets turned on, they scatter like cockroaches. Who's really influencing Rockstar Games? Many might recall the controversy when Grand Theft Auto 5 suddenly removed so-called transphobic content while leaving every other stereotype and offensive joke intact. Many people brush it off as Rockstar evolving with the times, but the real question always was, who started that? Savvy found it out. And maybe someone else found this out as well previously, but I had not seen this before. This was an open letter to Rockstar Games signed by Out Making Games. And would you look at this? Halfway through the letter, we got, as Carolyn Petit writes in Kotaku, unlike for other random NPCs in Grand Theft Auto 5, the game appears to purposefully play into extremely harmful stereotypes of trans and gender diverse people to encourage players to be repulsed by them and even to relish hurting and killing them. Which, I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto. The trans aren't special when it comes to that. It's a game that's basically based around doing whatever the hell you want in an open sandbox crazy environment. But for some reason, this letter that was penned by Out Making Games, referencing Carolyn Petit, who is a dude that cosplays as a woman at Kotaku, referenced here, and they had an article that was referenced as well. They sent this over to Rockstar Games, and wouldn't you know it, Rockstar Games removes transphobic content from Grand Theft Auto 5. And here's the thing. If you're a game developer in the UK and you want any influence in the industry, the UKIE holds the keys And what that means is they work with OMG, which, by the way, out making games. It's intertwined in the background. And this is where you start getting in the weeds of the UKIE working behind the scenes with OMG. And then you start diving deeper into who works with the UKIE. And this guy keeps showing up. His name is James Dodd, who is a him, OMG director and chair, partner at Martin Tripp Associates and UKIE. We're going to get into all this. And this is just one dude. There's like a network of people, by the way, that all these people have connections to each other. And if you don't bend the knee, you will be blackballed out of their club and then ergo out of the industry, which is what forces people to go along with this extortion of DEI. I said James Dodd, key player in this network, runs UKIE's DEI sector while also at the same time working with OMG. Some might call this a conflict of interest, but hey, who am I to infer anything of that sort? Then we have the BAFTA.
What was I going to build?
More reliable BAFTA.
I'm going to build a base, a multi-purpose room, 6x night. I'm going to also build what else?
Raise the game. Game studios into compliance, which again goes back to the whole Sweet Baby Inc. extortion thing. Threaten, take your secretary out, threaten them. If they don't sign up with you, what's going to happen to them? He also has his name plastered on Martin Tripp Associates website, which is a recruiter that specializes in placing C-suite executives into companies. And you guys can probably see where I'm going with all of this. How somebody is connected with all these organizations. And, oh, by the way, he is mentioned on Martin Tripp for the C-suite executives in game companies. And this is a quote from John T. Barnes, the CEO of Formation Games, saying, "Over the course of the past couple of years, I've had the privilege of working alongside James Dodd from Martin Tripp Associates. Their dedication has been instrumental in driving our business forward, far exceeding our expectations. Moreover, collaborating with them has been an absolute joy. Whenever our company is in need of key talent to augment our capabilities, James Dodd is always the person I call upon." And they go back into Tripp Associates, what they are. They go, "We are an international team from around the world who believe we can improve business through people. Executive search lies core of what we do." Don't you think there's a little bit of a conflict of interest here when we got this guy as part of OMG, who's also being promoted by the BAFTA Awards, and also on Raise the Game pledge, where he's part of the DEI initiatives there? It's just a little convenient that this person is connected to all of these groups. And again, this is just one person. I could make an entire 4-hour live stream talking about every single one of these people and still just be scratching the surface of how deep this rabbit hole goes. I cannot stress that enough. But anyway, so we go to Rocksteady's connection to OMG. So it's not just Rockstar, but we also have Rocksteady being a part of all of this as well. And Savvy goes in.
You just really can't trust games anymore.
Supporting and funding them, and this raises some more serious questions. Rocksteady is one of UK's top game studios, responsible for Batman Arkham series, yet now it appears to be deeply embedded in the DEI machine. How? Because Rocksteady employees also sit on OMG's board. And again, you can see how there's a little bit of a conflict of interest here, where people are sitting on a board of a DEI firm for consultancy and enabling DEI, while also working at the game company. I just kind of feel like, they're going to make sure they inject DEI if there's a compatible company connected to them, these people on the board working side by side with them. It's a major problem in the game industry. Then we get to Safe in Our World. And additionally, the influence extends far beyond everything else that I was talking about into awards and recognitions. And according to Savvy, Safe in Our World is yet another DEI-driven organization serving as yet another financial pipeline for these groups. Get into more awards. We've got Outstanding Diversity Network Award for Outmaking Games. And I said, they don't rest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Their biggest concern is Meta's recent pushback against DEI policies, showing just how much these groups rely on corporate compliance to remain relevant. So now it looks like they're pushing against Meta and making sure that they are more
Damn it.
inclusive and letting people to be censored because they don't like the fact that Mark Zuckerberg went on that speech talking about how Meta and Facebook are going to reel back all their restrictions because they're blaming it on like the Biden regime, and now Trump's there, so they don't need to put all that restrictions in place. These corporations are now like, whoa, no, you need to put those censorships back in place because that is what enables us and pays us. Without that happening, there is no use for these companies, and they wither and die. These groups are continuing to prop themselves up with bogus awards. That's a tactic that's become aggressively common since all the way back in 2010. Industry awards used to, at one glorious point, recognize merit, but now, no. You have to say the right things.
There was one right here, and I made that whole worthless ass trip for no reason.
This is what everything has been.
Can't believe it.
And it's exactly why so many game journalists and developers are furious over Stuttering Craig's The Real Game Awards.
I could have easily just hit these.
They will laugh at it, poke fun at it, but in the end, they're scared of it because they see it as a potential area that could siphon power away from their grip. And it feels far more accurate than any kind of crazy conspiracy theory that I've been dealing with when researching this stuff. And then I talk about the parallel to Wings Interactive. For those of you who aren't familiar, again, check out the Smash JT website in the description if you want the Wings Interactive and how they're just a front for Landfall Games and how Master of the TDS exposed that and they deleted their social media presence nearly immediately after that too. It's just weird how this stuff keeps happening as soon as people find it, how they just delete any kind of footprint they can as soon as possible, even though the internet is forever, and in most cases, it's been archived anyways, but hey, they're going to run and hide as much as they can. And then I finish it off saying, is Grand Theft Auto done for? Let's be real. Grand Theft Auto 6 is obviously going to sell millions of copies no matter what. Nobody's still going to buy it on launch day. Rockstar will still continue making billions, but the real issue isn't the financial one. It's creative freedom. If Rockstar has to answer to groups like OMG and UKIE to maintain industry standing, they will continue to be reined in and forced to censor themselves. Gone are the days where Rockstar could just push boundaries without any kind of interference. The industry isn't changing. It's just being controlled by these DEI operatives. And it's not a tinfoil hat theory anymore. It's been proven time and time again. The U.S. aid situation was just one of many that we've uncovered along the way. And that's basically it. A huge shout out again to Madam Savvy for the insane deep dive that she did with all this information and uncovering it, because holy crap, is it a rabbit hole. Like I said, it's not just one person, it's a whole bunch of people that are intertwined and connected in the background, and it goes on and on, all these people connected, rainbow flags, everything you'd expect, inclusion, diversity, equity, and give us your money or we're going to try our best to cancel your company and make sure you never step foot in the game industry again, which for a while worked, but these days doesn't seem like that's happening as much anymore, and they know their number is up. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Again, if you guys want more information, check out SmashJT.com for the full article. I'm going to publish it as soon as I upload this video. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash. Journalist run cover for a lot of games in my day, but I don't think I've ever seen it be more prevalent than I have with Avowed. The cope is real, and I thought it was just going to be like a minor blip in the grand scheme when I made my initial take talking about how Avowed looks like it might not be as great as what everyone was hoping for, and falling perfectly in line with my insiders telling me that internally at Obsidian, they weren't very excited about this game, no matter what they were saying externally. The game itself was not really all that great. Now we see a few days later how the numbers aren't really supporting the game itself, and the incredible levels of hope from not just some of the press, but also the player base that's just upset at people talking about reality for what it is. And you gotta ask yourself at the end of the day, will people ever come to a point where they get to coming to grips with how this game is big? Hit that subscribe if you like, and yes, I am trying a new format out right now because I just want to get a video out on this situation and follow up on the insane when it comes to just fronting for a game and saying it's great, just don't talk about it. Just let people play games, let them enjoy it, and don't be mean and say mean words about stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can play whatever the hell you want to play. I'm not going to stop anybody. That doesn't mean we can't talk about why the game isn't that great. Heading over to SteamDB, we see as of about half an hour ago, there's 18,339 in it. Let me refresh this as of right now. We got 18,000, almost 600, and we're at around 1 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday.
Oh, thank God I had one. Boop.
This game has all but completely bombed. Like, this is the worst I could ever imagine seeing the numbers for a game that's coming out of Microsoft Studios Obsidian, known for making incredibly great RPG experiences over the years, to release what amounts to a flop, not even surpassing 20,000 players currently on Steam, which is just outright embarrassing. This is the game that I was like, the worst it could possibly do. Like, lowest expectations on opening weekend would be 25,000, maybe 27,000. At the bare minimum, 25,000 would be the floor concurrent, and that would be a terrible flop. We're not even hitting 20,000 right now, and we're past midway through on a Saturday. This game is all but dead. And I know there's a lot of hope right now, not just from the gaming journalists themselves, but also gamers. There's a lot of gamers out there that are trying to pretend that it's not as bad as it really is, saying, no, I'm playing it on Game Pass, and Game Pass is where everyone's playing this game. That's where it's all making its money back, is Game Pass. That's why nobody's buying this game. It's Game Pass, guys. To which I say, yeah, it is Game Pass. Do you think they're really making very much money if people are picking up a monthly subscription for $15 to test out this game and be like, yeah, no, this ain't for me, and then leaving? I don't really see how that is going to directly correlate to income coming to Obsidian specifically, but hey, you do you. Anyway, so from this, I posted, About isn't faring any better on the weekend. To which people have started replying. Let me refresh this just to get the newest ones. We got Carl saying, come on, Smash. We all know Steam isn't reflective of Game Pass numbers, and this is definitely one to utilize Game Pass to play. I said Game Pass is not a program I would be hanging my financial hat on if I were a AAA game company. And they replied, all Microsoft Studios are a part of it. $600 million per month is a financial hat that Microsoft likes. Foreman replied, $600 million divided among around 400 games, about $1.5 million per amount, at $70 a copy, that's around 21,500 units. At that rate, it's almost 4 years to reach 1 million copies sold. That screams success story to you? Carl said, except it doesn't get split up evenly, talking about how indies get less, and then Corman says, that's your assumption. Maybe they made all $600 million and will be a multi-billion-dollar dev studio by the end of the year, and all devs will own private islands. Microsoft would actually show us their numbers, aka screen charts. Tell them Game Pass is meaningless. And Daddy BP said, check out Pillars of Eternity and sequel Deadfire, and I checked it. They're about 1K each in those games. Not doing crazy numbers, but still respectable for older games. Disgusting said, currently releasing a game that looks like it's in beta state and has the immersion level of a Blender tutorial doesn't correspond with gamers. And hey, I got something to say. Said, yep, it seems like someone with a clear outlook on this would have prevented Microsoft from losing money. Tough if you get table. Here to explain. Python Bacon. It's mid, they said. Who has time to play boring ass mid-game? Instead, I'd rather fire up a great game I've completed multiple times. And it goes on and on and on. Then it gets pretty funny, and they go to explaining the differences between the two. And the game itself is not great. Ultimately, you could come back to saying that this is, by all accounts, a flop, which gets me to my next point. And this is why I want to make a follow-up video on this, because this was frustrating. I made this video the other day, and it got attempted to be community noted, saying that Avowed did not flop, since it is a success of Steam sales alone, successful games that have recently launched, talking about how Game Pass is where to play it, so you can't call it flop. But no, that's just more. Then we get to Pirate Nation saying PC Gamer shield for Avowed. PC Gamer said too many RPGs don't get that choices that matter. Isn't just about cause and effect, but Avowed does. And you get into this article, and what do they talk about? Oh, it's just this game is good for me, so don't be mean in saying that it didn't sell very much because it's good. You should try it. Play this game. I enjoy how in it. It's amazing. And for the author, what was her name? Lauren? Lauren. I'm happy for you, Lauren. I'm glad that you see yourself in this game and find enjoyment with it. But the vast majority of people that I've been talking to have been saying the exact opposite of that. And when you start getting a clash with people that you trust in the gaming community that say the game is made by all accounts a wealth of experience, and they're telling you, don't play this game. Instead, go play Skyrim. And if you've beaten Skyrim, go play Skyrim again. That's a problem. Why would somebody pay $70 or even fire up Game Pass and spend not the money? Here's the thing, it's not even about the money. Why would they spend the time on a game that is not as good as a game that came out 20 years ago? And we have even more. This one comes from WCCF Tech saying, about sales, make Obsidian happy so far. Game director would love to do more with the world. And this talks about how Obsidian Entertainment and Xbox Studios officially has their first game out for 3 days. Now, I think 4 days at this point, maybe 5. It's not doing very well. But don't let that stop the game director, Carrie Patel, saying, oh, we're happy with the sales so far. Do you really think Carrie's first game that she would come out and say, the sales really aren't that good. We're not doing as well as we thought we would. Kind of screw the pooch on this one. Maybe we'll do better next time. No! Of course not. She's going to run cover for it and say, oh, yeah, sales are great. Just like in the pre-sales before the game even launched, before that she was like, oh, internally we're very excited about this game. Everyone knows it's a great experience. We're going to really show the world how much fun we're having with the builds and the characters that we have. And it's an amazing experience. If people just give it a shot when it comes out, we know you'll feel the same way. But then I heard that, and I'm like, well, based off of by multiple insiders over at Obsidian that reported back to me saying, internally the culture is saying the game is, by all accounts there, mid. Like, even internal at Obsidian, they were saying the game is really not that great. I had one person say the game itself, if they were objective about it, was probably around a 6 out of 10. If they're going to be really generous, like a 6.5 out of 10, at best. All right? That doesn't fly in a world of games where there are better experiences out there to be played. And ultimately, that's what an Avowed lies. It's not because the game itself isn't like the greatest game ever. It's because there are better games to play, and people have a finite amount of time to play them. And all the while, you keep seeing more and more articles continuing to come out talking about how Avowed's great, guys. Give it a chance. It does something that the other games don't do. Oh my God. Carrie Patel, the director, saying it's great. Everyone just needs to play the game and you'll love it. Meanwhile, listening to YouTubers that have been playing these games for decades upon decades and saying, no, it's not. It's all right. At best, maybe a little bit better than mid, but why would you play this? And ultimately, that's why the game is completely flopping. Then you head over to Metacritic and you see that the generally favorable reviews coming from the 71 critics giving it an overall 80 out of 100 score. And the first thing I think of when I hear that is, oh hell, that's exactly what they did with Dragon Age the Veilguard. That's curious. And sure, Dragon Age the Veilguard had user scores are generally unfavorable at 3.9. It started around a 6.5, 6.8 for Dragon Age the Veilguard, and as time went on and more users started playing the game and reviewing it, it gradually dropped down further and further and further. So, sure, I could have predicted this before the game even launched, that it was going to do exactly this, where it would be around a 6 or a 7 from the users, and we're right in the middle almost with a 6.8. and it will most likely be working its way down as time goes on. It's not a great look. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys like this new format of me just trying to talk to you on this. See if I do this more often than I'm not, depending on the type of topic that I'm talking about, and also covering stuff on live streams as well. Appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Much love to you guys. As always, you stay smashing. Talk about because it could insinuate who they are to the company, and I can't give away any of that stuff because this is somebody who genuinely wants to make games better and make the industry in a better place. The direction Wizards of the Coast have been going is anything but that. That's not going to be like and check out SmashJT.com. The full article breaking down how Wizards of the Coast owned Skeleton Key Studios brought in Corinne Bush, who was heavily rumored to be the person in charge of Baldur's Gate 4, which is the reason we brought in there. But in reality, what I've been shown from internal emails and told from my insiders specifically is no. He's actually going to be working on what used to be a canceled Dungeons & Dragons game from years ago that went nowhere with millions of dollars funneled into it to maybe try to resurrect it and eventually, hopefully, get it out to the masses to sell it and maybe even turn it into Baldur's Gate 4, but we're not even there yet. I recently had the opportunity to speak with my insider, who I'd spoken with previously, and like I said, this was the same person from Wizards of the Coast that gave insight breaking the Corinne Bush story. The story that I broke alongside Diversity and Dragons Together, who rumored it the night before, and then I got email confirmation from this inside source showing me the Slack messages that that person, Corinne Bush, is actually working at Skeleton Key Studios. Yes, that's how I know I can confirm and trust this person alongside everything else they showed me. Our conversation lasted about an hour, and the wild information he gave me confirmed many of the worst suspicions about the company's internal culture that a lot of people have been talking about for years. Its overwhelming embrace of DEI wokeness and the behind-the-scenes drama surrounding the long-rumored Dungeons & Dragons project that was originally being referred to internally as a massive AAA title that could be potentially even rivaling Skyrim. And the game didn't even come together at all to even be made and sold because it fell apart from internal disputes, problems, and issues that they had along the way. Big shock. Let's get this out of the way first. Despite the heavy rumors circulating online from multiple websites and YouTubers, Corinne Bush is not working on Baldur's Gate 4. My insider confirmed direct, showing me an internal Wizards of the Coast email via screen share, which I was also asked not to share publicly, that Corinne Bush is actually instead working on a previously canceled Dungeons & Dragons project that is not Baldur's Gate 4. The email showed me that was sent out to the entire company, referenced a project under the name called Dante. That game was once housed under the company Hidden Path Entertainment, which is another studio under the umbrella of Wizards of the Coast. And Hidden Path Entertainment is a very curious case in its own right, but we'll get to that in a second. Despite millions of dollars being poured into the failure, the game never progressed beyond early development and was ultimately abandoned. Now, Wizards of the Coast is attempting to revive it with Corinne Bush at the helm, raising some serious questions.
All right, I got my power source.
What's the potential that it had back in the day? If Skeleton Key doesn't eventually try to rework Dante's project into Baldur's Gate 4, then Bush will officially not be leading the next Baldur's Gate installment. Instead, he's going to be attempting to resurrect a failed game, which is really not so different than when Corinne Bush came into Dragon Age the Veilguard and then rehashed and restarted all of that for what was reported to be the third redo of the game in a near 10-year cycle to get the game out the door. And maybe they'll look at Corinne Bush like, yeah, this person has experience with getting a project to a complete feature-complete state and getting it out the door, so yeah, bring that person in here. This is a lot of speculation from my insider with many moving parts. So like I said at the outset, take everything with a grain of salt. Many things can change, and with every leak, a heavy dose of scrutiny. I'm passing this information along from what I've heard to keep everybody up to date with the latest insights that I've gotten directly from the source, and it's really all I can do. My source continued stating that Dante was once touted as the Skyrim killer, with grandiose AAA ambitions, trying to be the next big thing for the sputtering Dungeons and Dragons franchise. But the troubled development history that he talked about tells me otherwise. The project was an absolute disaster, and according to my source, Dante was in development hell from the very start, beginning before Exodus even began work in 2019. And despite all the years of work and money going into it, it never got past the vertical slice phase. And for those of you that aren't familiar with vertical slice, that's the stage where a team produces a working demo to showcase key mechanics, combat, side quests, world interactions, in hopes of securing full project approval and moving forward with the rest of it. Wizards of the Coast poured billions upon billions of dollars into the game, which my source doesn't know the exact amount, but said it was a lot of money, but it never gained any traction, ultimately leading to its eventual cancellation. Or so we thought, because now, apparently Dante is being resurrected. The game was not only plagued by mismanagement and waste of resources, but it also was steeped in woke ideology. Not a big shock to anyone paying attention to Wizards of the Coast properties these days, but still, it explains an awful lot. My insider revealed to me that the game's cast was designed to be as diverse as possible, ensuring representation at the expense of quality world building. And from what I've researched, this all lines up. And adding Corinne Bush to the project hot off the heels of Dragon Age Veilguard's massive failure, it's got to make you wonder, who's in charge of putting these gigantic business decisions in order and moving them forward? Because from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like the smartest moves. But we got to talk about Hidden Path Entertainment. This is the company that was initially working on that game Dante, and everything that my insider told me about this company was extremely curious. They were the company that worked on the project Dante before it was eventually transferred to Skeleton Key to apparently be resurrected now years later. Hidden Path Entertainment's website is a strange situation because it hasn't been updated in years, and it still says they're working on their next game, which is a Dungeons and Dragons title, but they also aren't hiring for any positions. And when we went through the photos of the employees that were shown on the website, my insider is stating, yes, many of those people shown in the picture are not working there anymore and have not been replaced. And as far as they understand, this organization is a skeleton crew of people that work at Hidden Path Entertainment that go into work every day, don't have a game to work on. So I'm not really sure who's paying their bills and keeping the lights on outside of Wizards of the Coast and paying money for these people going in every day and not doing anything. It's a very strange situation over there. And my insider also noted that Wizards of the Coast funneled huge amounts of money into that very studio and nothing ever came out of it. The fact that Hidden Path hasn't updated their website in years tells me that things have been crumbling behind the scenes there for quite some time. But anyways, back to the main point of the story, and that is Corinne Bush potentially eventually working on Baldur's Gate 4. And here's where it gets interesting. The possibility that I was alluding to earlier, where Wizards of the Coast would potentially try and salvage their investment by rebranding this Dante game as Baldur's Gate 4, could potentially eventually happen, but that has not taken place yet. And while none of this is confirmed, the insider mentioned that it's a real possibility with the company, but as this moment right now, it is not Baldur's Gate 4. But that can change, which might be where the confusion comes in, where a lot of people are assuming, oh, Corinne Bush got brought on and they have the rights to Baldur's Gate, they're going to make a Baldur's Gate 4, that's why they brought him in there. But no, as of right now, the latest information we have is that Corinne Bush is going to be working on this failed Dungeons & Dragons Dante project and trying to get this game released. Whether they decide to turn Dante into Baldur's Gate 4 is a different story altogether that has not happened yet. If you ever had any doubts whatsoever as to just how far left-leaning Wizards of the Coast has become, my insider went on to describe the environment at the company itself. Not just Corinne Bush being brought in, but how that fits politically perfectly aligning with everyone else seemingly at the company, and how their internal messaging app is filled with anti-Trump rhetoric, and the atmosphere there is so stifling that even the slightest deviation from agreement from the general consensus of woke groupthink results in the immediate dogpiling and outcasting of the individual trying to stand up for themselves. The insider even told me a story about how there was an incident with one anonymous person simply asking a question related to Trump, and it wasn't even like a mean thing or a mean-spirited or anti or pro thing. It was just a question about Trump. And the entire team on the messaging app immediately jumped on them. It was just an inquiry. And this kind of company culture that we're dealing with is exactly what is happening with
Peeve. If you can make a good game where I could spend my time on and forget about my problems, I will generally F with that game.
You're from the group thing. And if you do, they want you out. Wizards of the Coast continues to be a case study in corporate self-destruction. From their aggressively woke internal culture to their reckless mismanagement of resources, it's no surprise that projects like Dante have failed so spectacularly. The fact that they decided to bring in Corinne Bush to head a project over at Skeleton Key isn't surprising at all either, considering all the former BioWare employees that are filling that studio with rampant nepotism anyway. The idea that these people could try to rebrand a failed game with Bush as the head as Baldur's Gate 4 should raise alarm bells for anyone who values the integrity of that franchise. And meanwhile, looking over at Hidden Path Entertainment, it appears to be yet another casualty of Wizard of the Coast's missteps. Left adrift after years of wasted time and money, and if this insider's info is anything to go by, we're only scratching the surface of the dysfunction happening behind the scenes over at Wizards of the Coast. Anyways, that's everything I got for you guys today. If you want more information, check out SmashJT.com for the full article in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay Smash.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, one, two, or even that ball pit. Sharing is caring. She was one of the first people to harness quantum theory for sight about getting froggy. You hear me? Stay put. Wow.
Jeff, how many times do I have to tell you not to dig your hand through the cereal box to get the toy? Was it me?
Oh. Yeah, I don't wait, are we?
Over the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of talk regarding layoffs that occurred with a Marvel Rivals team, so that specifically being the Seattle branch, with headlines such as Polygon writing, This is such a weird industry. Marvel Rivals plays off NA-based team amid explosive success. The biggest game this year isn't immune to layoffs. Now, before we delve further into this news and NetEase's response that clarifies some very important things that aren't being mentioned by a lot of Western outlets, it's important to take note of how disingenuous Western gaming journalists tend to be. And as an example of that, we can take a look at the Firewalk Studios situation, that being the devs behind Concord. You may recall during that situation that when the Concord devs were being laid off, a lot of these gaming journalists and modern audience types were trying to drum up sympathy for these individuals, essentially trying to guilt trip gamers for not supporting Concord, acting like it was all of our duty to buy games like Concord so these sort of devs don't lose their jobs. That's just one example, but we've seen similar sentiment reflected again and again, where a AAA game marketed towards the modern audience types flops, and then the modern audience and their gaming journalist buddies try to guilt trip gamers for not supporting the game. Why didn't you buy this game? You know how it goes. And so coming back to the present time, given this news with Marvel Rivals, a lot of these individuals are now trying to use this situation to bolster their arguments, essentially saying things like, see, the industry is such a mess that even layoffs occur at Marvel Rivals. All these devs need to be supported more. And once again, these are the sort of people that will be first in line to defend games like Veilguard and Concord, etc., etc. So they're essentially conflating things together. And also blowing things out of proportion, trying to act like these layoffs have been a massive blow to the Marvel Rivals team. Some even saying that it was like a core team that got laid off. But in reality, this team mostly focused on research and development, and it's a team of 6 people. Or I suppose I should say it was a team of 6 people over in Seattle. Now, of course, you're welcome to feel
All right, it's moving day. Should I make an? I'm going to need a moon pool though. It'd be fine. It'll be fine.
Journalists in their coverage where they say, update, NetEase has responded to 80 levels inquiry about the layoffs.
Engine powering up.
The NetEase representative sent us with some details regarding Rivals' main leadership positions not being affected, which for some reason were omitted by PC Gamer. So we have the full message here from NetEase, which reads, we recently made the difficult decision to adjust Marvel Rivals' development team structure for organizational reasons and to optimize development efficiency for the game. This resulted in a reduction of a design team based in Seattle that is part of a larger global design function in support of Marvel Rivals. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of those affected and will be treating them confidentially and respectfully with recognition for their individual contributions. We want to reassure our fan base that the core development team for Marvel Rivals, which continues to be led by lead producer Wei-Kong Wu and game creative director Guangyin Chen in Guangzhou, China, remains fully committed to delivering an exceptional experience. We are investing more, not less, in the evolution and growth of this game. We're excited to deliver new superhero characters, maps, features, and content to ensure an engaging live service experience for our worldwide player base. And hopping over to PC Gamer, it is very interesting. Just like 80 Levels said, they seem to have omitted certain things from their coverage. We can see in their part of the coverage where they talk about that statement, they don't just repost the full statement like we saw 80 Level do. Instead, specifically in the second paragraph, they cut out the part about Marvel Rivals still being led by lead producer Wei-Kong Wu and game creative director Guangyin Chen. There was also misinformation about the situation being spread over on Reddit, for example, surprising no one, of course, such as this post that says apparently the Marvel Rivals team was just laid off, including the director. That's not what happened. Eventually, that post was removed by mods for the misleading title. But that's not the only example. We've also got this post with over 4,200 upvotes from our games titled Thaddeus Sasser, Marvel Rivals Director. Quote, my stellar, talented team just helped deliver an incredibly successful new franchise in Marvel Rivals for NetEase Games, and were just laid off. This can also be seen as misleading because while Sasser did have some level of a director title, he's not the official director for Marvel Rivals. The closest person to hold that title would be Guangyin, the creative director who's been seen in various promotional materials for Rivals. And even he doesn't have a title that's just like Marvel Rivals Director. Presumably there are various types of directors, not just like as the Reddit post suggests, one director of all. And certainly not Thaddeus, the one from Seattle who just got laid off. Although a minority, there were still fortunately some people in that thread pointing out the misinformation. For example, this response saying, not the creative director Guangyin. This seems like it was some sort of R&D studio based in Seattle rather than the main dev team in China. According to Sasser's page, they've been working at NetEase Games on Rivals since January 2023. On the post about the layoffs, he describes a lot of his and another coworkers' time as a sort of R&D branch, coming up with new level design mechanics, gameplay mechanics, and so on. maybe the team didn't work as they'd like, or maybe pure greed of laying them off now, thinking they don't need them despite the success. That comment getting a few edits, as the articles eventually updated their information, they got a response that reads, "The title is incredibly misleading and this post should be at the top. Anyone who doesn't engage with developer-related side of the game would read Marvel Rivals director, quote unquote, and assume him to be the director, the main guy in charge of the creative vision for a very successful game, not the head of a tiny NA support studio doing R&D for the actual Chinese developers, and stellar talented team, quote unquote, would make you think about hundreds of people, not literally 6. One of the responses they got would quote the title is incredibly misleading part, saying, guessing that was on purpose. So let's check out this comment because there's also quite a callback here, saying 6 people only. This is blown out of proportion, and this user is saying that's an understatement. This is a Bayonetta 3 VA situation, again for the subreddit. And yeah, I covered that situation on the channel a few years ago, so you might recall that here if you watch those videos too. The situation was freaking crazy. The voice actress attempting to essentially throw a sympathy party for herself, while pretty much lying about everything, ultimately becoming yet another reason on the giant list of reasons for why people don't like English voice actors. Essentially, the voice actress was lying about how much she was paid, and trying to manipulate the internet into becoming her personal army, trying to get people to even boycott Bayonetta, and to go after the series creator Hideki Kamiya, which eventually Hideki and Platinum Games responded to her, and her lies ultimately getting exposed. But now circling all that back over to Reddit, as they mentioned, that was apparently an insufferable time over on Reddit, and that's because so many people were instantly siding with the VA. By the way, this is also happening on Twitter. A lot of people were just siding with the VA because, oh, we need to always support English voice actors no matter what. You know the sort of people. And it tends to be the modern audience types. And so these fools were getting played by this voice actress, trying to act like they were holier than thou and morally better than anyone who was actually looking at the situation and criticizing what was occurring. And then, as mentioned, eventually she got exposed anyways for her lies, and all those people who were blindly siding with her ended up looking really foolish. And of course, that's putting it nicely. Now back to Rivals, it seems like a similar thing has been occurring over on Reddit, with people believing the various misinformation that's been propagated, and standing on a soapbox, throwing a pity party for these devs, while blowing their roles out of proportion. And as we discussed way earlier, trying to use the situation as some kind of evidence for why gamers need to support all devs, even including those who make modern audiences slop. Basically, see if it can happen to these high-ranking Marvel Rivals devs, it can happen to any devs. The industry is such a mess, we need to support them all. Of course, reasonable people and gamers in the loop with this sort of gaslighting are going to deny that, and are going to look at the surrounding context. In closing, something else I said earlier is that you're welcome to feel any sort of way you want about the Seattle team. I'm not telling you how to feel about the situation. I'm simply giving you some of the context and facts about what's occurred, and I'm going to leave it there. So let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments. As always, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed my...
I do not care for English sub. I'm not English sub, but English dub. I don't care for it. I don't. It always sounds terrible. Japanese voice actresses and subtitles are the only 2 things I need. I don't care what anybody say. That's just dumb to me. It's dumb. Have you ever watched an anime and you had to adjust to the voice because the voice is just so dang terrible? I will admit there's some that does a good job, but honestly, it's just no.
293,250 views with 15,566 dislikes, giving it a 49% dislike ratio. And this is after Hassan directed his viewers to essentially combat what he's calling the brigading. So presumably before he did that, this was an even worse ratio. I'll show you the clip where he does issue that statement. Once again, we'll go over all that stuff, and these analytics are provided by Jabrek.net. First, a brief clip of the podcast itself. Just seems fitting to play at least a short portion of that. And then we'll take a look at some of the comments so you get some more of the context.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Trash Taste. I'm joined once again by the boys, and we have a returning guest. Because you're back in Japan now.
Hell yeah, I'm here permanently now. This time it's for real.
Yeah, for real?
Yeah, now that my country's on fire, I chose Japan to just stay here.
Yeah, we got Hassan. He's back. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no politics, sorry.
Yeah, no politics, alright.
Well, actually, I love how they can't get 30 seconds into the episode without this dude bringing politics up. Seriously, 30 seconds. Anyways, taking a look at the top comments, we've got I'd prefer my anime discussion not to involve a guy who celebrated the death of innocent civilians in no less than 2 different recent modern conflicts.
Ah, shit.
Carries water for authoritarian regimes and celebrates terrorists indiscriminately attacking civilian vessels at sea, abducting their crews, and who still stone women to death for not obeying their every command. Thanks. Another one saying, I've been a viewer of the anime man and Giga for more than a decade. As a female viewer, I'm absolutely disgusted seeing 3 men, the biggest in the anime YouTube space, happily endorse an R-word apologist. I looked up to you guys when I was young. I thought you were different. I'm incredibly hurt and disappointed seeing this. And right below that comment, another one that reads, who thought having Hassan is a good idea? This isn't just a simple drama that can be ignored. That's like saying 9/11 is just drama, then proceed to have Bin Laden or Al-Qaeda members as guests talk about their favorite video games. Other comments talk about how people are dropping trash taste over this collab. For example, this one saying, I finished since the start. I'm done. Similarly, right below that, this one reading, text in here. I can say with the absolute state of confidence that I can say for the rest of us here in this beautiful state, we have and will never tolerate terrorists and their sympathizers. We delete them. If he's your friend, be a good friend, have a seriously long talk with him without changing his ways or changing his name. It's been a good time listening to you, gentlemen, but this is the end of the road for me. I'll pray for your wisdom and discernment. Stay safe. And right below that, another one reading, this is the last thing produced by Trash Taste that I will ever watch. More comments talking about dropping Trash Taste right below those. For example, this one also reading, been following both Joey and Giga since 2015, but now I'm unsubscribing. Not gonna watch someone who endorses terrorism by posting this guy. Once again, those comments were just some of the comments that you can find by sorting by top comments. And it seems like there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of comments where people share similar sentiments. Interestingly enough, the pinned comment is from Trash Taste, and they say, we don't, and have never deleted comments on any episodes. And this is because
I did not mean to honk the horn.
For example, this tweet that reads, Trash Taste is getting heat for having Hassan Piker on the podcast, and then deleting comments critical of him. Included are screenshots, and we'll take a look at these real quick. This one reading, sad to see they had to delete so many comments. I like Trash Taste, but this is very disappointing. Insecure much? The second screenshot reading, deleting all the comments hating on Hassan is wild though. And the next screenshot reading, funny how this comment section suddenly started glazing Hassan after ripping him apart. Don't think we didn't notice that the top comment got removed. That account making a follow tweet that reads, even the Trash Taste Reddit wasn't impressed. Going on to quote, first time seeing a 50% like to dislike ratio on a Trash Taste episode. Now those comments are just gone. Is the person who manages the channel actually deleting them? Taking a look at the provided screenshots, we can see there's actually a lot more to that comment. The full comment reading. The first thing I did when this episode came out was scroll down to the comments. There were hundreds of them expressing the fact that they did not like having a song back. Some of them had almost 1,000 likes. Now those comments are just gone. Is the person who manages the channel actually deleting them? Please let this just be a YouTube glitch, because otherwise, wow, that would be low. As we already went over, Trash Taste made a very brief response denying that any comments were deleted. Still, it's very interesting that comments on both Reddit and YouTube claim that these deletions are indeed happening, even on the Trash Taste subreddit itself. And so, as always, come to your own conclusions. Speaking of the Trash Taste subreddit, let's hop over there and take a look. Specifically, this post that reads, seems like Hassan has brigaded his community to quote-unquote get in and actively counter the brigade. The comment section. And linking to a tweet that we'll take a look at next. As for the post itself, it got 563 upvotes before being locked by the moderators. With this mod leaving a pinned comment, a sticky comment rather, that says, for anyone reading this, if you are not interested in talking about the actual content of the Trash Taste podcast episode, please don't make comments. All you're doing is making our volunteering harder, where we'll just have to lock certain posts and remove posts as well. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help the situation. Well, this presents a very fun opportunity. Let's take a look at some of the top comments on that post that the mod apparently doesn't like. Well, at least ones that the mod or mods didn't yet remove. For example, this top response that talks about how pathetic it is to issue some kind of counter brigade, and how that's also a brigade. The next one reading, yeah, that'll solve the problem for sure. And this one saying, we wait for another Connor damage control short video, lol. Right below that, this comment reading, ah, great, another creator telling his community to counteract the hate. Looks like this is going to be more than a 12-hour drama. Then there's this one that reads, of all the things he could have done to calm the flame, he just sends it into a blaze. This one's really funny because of how things played out. So this comment says, will the mods A, ban Hassan for brigading, B, delete this post, cue Jeopardy music. Turns out it was actually option C. lock the post and threaten to remove comments. Okay, with that context, let's hop over to the tweet that was linked in that post in the OP. That being this one that reads, Hassan Malls, while reading hate comments from his Trash Taste podcast episode, directs his audience to quote-unquote get in and actively counter brigade. And here's the clip.
Mr. President, the second Piker has hit the trash case. Why would you do this, Hassan? Really? The terrorist endorser? Shame. Too bad. I get irritated from just seeing his face. The guy has said so many profoundly idiotic things that I honestly cannot listen to a word from him. The brigade is on, folks. Get in and actively counter the brigade. They dislike botted the video immediately. Lol is at 2.5k dislikes. You really upset the weaves this time? Yeah.
That dude in chat trying to blame all the dislikes on some dislike bot is just the icing on the cake. But wait, there's another clip to take a look at. This one that reads, Chatter tells Hassan he's out of touch, which he didn't appreciate.
Because sometimes we'll stare into the darkness on this broadcast. We'll look at what they're saying, and they just can't comprehend how journalists are still covering this guy in a positive way. What the fuck's going on? And it's dude, why do you think? You think a 40-year-old journalist has no political convictions of their own? You think they're going to be deluded by a drama farmer on YouTube, a slop tuber, and be wow, this is a real bad guy? You think they haven't seen internet harassment campaigns before? You are so out of touch, holy hell. No, brother, I'm not the one who's out of touch. The people that are going, we hate you because we think this person is an evil person, me, okay? We think your friend that you know better, okay, is actually secretly an evil person because we've seen YouTube videos from rabid haters. Is an active line of attack. The assumption that you, as a random commentator, a random commenter online, is not out of touch, but I am, because what you expect in terms of retaliation towards someone like myself is not matching the reality is hilarious.
I can't believe how perfect that clip is. Dude's really trying to sound not out of touch by citing journalists. A 40-year-old journalist support me, as if the opinion of some random journalists prove he's a morally good and not out of touch person. He doesn't even realize that the majority of people despise journalists and don't trust them. It's probably one of the most out of touch things he actually could have said to use for his argument of apparently not being out of touch. And lastly, there's this tweet that reads, Hassan denies his lolcow status, and in the clip, he's actually still going on about the whole out of touch thing. So let's take a look.
How do you not understand that? Things will keep shocking you over and over again if you are so echo-chambered and hug-boxed that you genuinely believe that I am considered lolcow by anyone that is a normal human being who goes outside. Okay? That's the problem. You're a 40-year-old dude on Twitch right now being you're the one who's out of touch, Hassan, because in spite of the fact that you are one of the most popular content creators on Twitch, I still think, me and my homies think you're a bad guy. And the more you don't realize that other people don't see it the way that you do, the more you just make up conspiracies in your mind. You can say womp womp all day, but the real womp is happening to you, old man. Calm down.
Why does he keep using this whole 40-year-old thing? Oh yes, the 40-year-old journalist support me. And then this time he's mad at the chatter saying he's a 40-year-old dude on Twitch. But anyways, I think it's really funny that he's talking about conspiracy theories, but have nothing to say about conspiracy theories when there's this chatter saying all the dislikes are just some bots disliking the video. So when it's convenient for him, things are conspiracy theories. But when it's not convenient for him, they're not conspiracy theories apparently. And let me get this part straight. So his defense for being a good person is that journalists support him and that he's one of the most viewed people on Twitch. Is that really the argument he's going with? The last thing we'll take a look at is this tweet that says, Hassan rallies the troops in his Twitter community. The screenshot provided reading, I don't think it's all organic trash taste fans, to be honest. I got lots of weirdos roaming the web recently. It's okay to correct the record, in my opinion. They get away with saying a lot of totally ridiculous things. Everyone is capable of making up their mind if they simply watch the stream. yeah, people watch the stream and make up their own opinion, but when that opinion is negative, then it's not organic, it's not authentic. That can't be right. It's gotta be bots, it's gotta be for hating. Anyways, let me know what you think about this whole trash taste, this song situation. I believe that's the most important stuff that we went over. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my coverage, and if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you in the next one. Over in Japan, the Japanese feminists have been enraged once again, and this is terrifying news. There's literally dozens of them. So hearts out to the JP bros overseas, and let's check out what's got these Japanese feminists so upset. That would be this commercial from Toyo Suisan. Says, doesn't dashi somehow make you feel relieved? CV Kana Ichinose. What's got them upset though is the animation. Yeah, I can just imagine some like turmoil online. So they're trying to argue that this is overly sexualized and is problematic. And I think someone could make a strong argument that it's less sexualized and it is more sexualized. Like maybe only a few of the frames there are sexualized, if anything. There's lots of people who enthusiastically enjoy their food. I myself am one of them. I'll come home after a hard workout, get some like breast chicken that I cooked up, and man, chomp down that meat, and I could feel the protein just like coursing through my veins. It's great. But ultimately, forget all that stuff because seriously, who cares? This ain't even a big deal. And that's the main point. Whether
People be just fussing about shit just to fuss. That's crazy. That ad doesn't. Shit, that ad makes me wish I had some ramen noodles.
So getting all offended over it is such pathetic behavior. Anyways, that takes us to this Japanese feminist Twitter account who's complaining about the ad. Yep. Translation reads, the controversial ad has been criticized for its depiction of women. Oh yeah, controversial. To who? To people like this? Okay. Here are some reasons why it has gone viral. Unrealistic representation of women. Are you kidding me? Like, unrealistic? It's a completely normal woman there. What are you getting so mad about? It's unrealistic difference in cheek redness compared to the male version. Wow. You know, maybe she blushes more than he does. Who cares? Such a non-issue, like I said earlier. These people are literally complaining about cheek redness. I cannot take this seriously at all. I can't believe these people take this seriously. This is like what they do with their life. How sad is this, guys? This is so sad. In other words, advertising from a male perspective. Oh, wow, that's so terrible. Since anime culture has a strong sexualized perspective on women, we are now in an era where companies must manage the risks when using anime in advertising. As if there's not also a bunch of women who are into anime and writing like manga and anime and all that. Like, messing my words up a little bit now, I apologize, but this is just hilarious. Like, I cannot believe this account. He gets 10,000 likes on this tweet. Oh my gosh, what's this? Another tweet they made. Contrasting men and women is a regulated expression under the UK advertising guidelines. Oh, they're bringing the UK into this? What on earth? Is this like one of the people who supports that whole UN stuff we were talking about a few days ago? Again, I apologize about messing my words up right now. This is just like such loony behavior. Oh my goodness. But by comparing it with the way men are portrayed, we can see the unique female characteristics of anime. There's a certain amount of male gaze or gaze in a sexual context. Person like crawled out of a cave from 2014 or something. Who even talks like this nowadays? It was pathetic back then. It's even worse to hear now. Like, move on and get over yourself. And so they're responding to this other person, Ladybird, who seems to be another one of these Twitter feminist types. We'll take a look at what they say in a moment. But first, sticking on this account, let's check out their bio because it's pretty interesting. We translate their bio. It says something about the flames were invisible insights, advertising consultancy, alternatives to flame advertising exhibition in the UK. So I'm kind of confused here. Is this a Japanese person living in the UK or a UK person with interest in Japan? I'm not really sure what's going on here. But advertising consultancy, So another one of these people who stir up a lot of drama and try to make issues out of non-issues and just so happens to be in some sort of consultancy business. Oh, here's why X, Y, and Z is so problematic and offensive and you should listen to me and give me money. Pay me, by the way. Here's another JP Twitter feminist tweet crying about the advertisement. This one with 8,600 likes reading, Maru-chan's animated videos are creepy. The female characters are crying after watching a drama, while the male characters are working overtime, which shows gender bias. And in both, the previous anime and this one, only the women have red cheeks. Do they understand that making female anime characters blush is a pornographic act? And are they just making a wink at those customers? Yeah, no, just no. This person has absolutely no room to talk about anything being creepy when they're the ones who see a female anime character blushing and automatically just think of pornography. Like, bro, what? What the projection? And don't get me wrong, I do know there's things where, like, an anime character will be doing something lewd and also blushing, and you know what's implied there. Sure, it's, like, sexualized. But that is absolutely not true, that, like, anytime a female anime character is blushing in any circumstance, it's automatically taken to that extreme. That's just not true. This person's crazy. And they weren't done there. Going on to say, either way, it's gross. I wish they wouldn't normalize the sexual iconization of women. And going on to no one's surprise, lock their responses. And so some of these people are comparing it to the male version. I'll play that for you and you can see for yourself how that goes.
赤い狐と緑のタヌキ。
Oh, hey, look, I can make a really stupid argument too. The male version, they made the audio so much more vivid. The way he's slurping up those noodles, it's so much more dramatic and emphasized in the female version. They're clearly sexualizing the male far more. And sure, he didn't blush as much as the female version, but his eyes, man, see how expressive his eyes were? They were clearly implying sexual acts. This was like basically pornography. It's so problematic, and oh my gosh, this brand is so offensive. Ugh. Anyways, you get the point. Ultimately, these weirdo complaints would get talked about over on JP YouTube, with this channel, Shima's Room, talking about the situation. Let's hop over to the comments, translate some of the comments to English, and take a look. I think the average person would focus more on the udon and soba noodles in this commercial. Twitter feminists think about erotic things 24 hours a day. Yeah, that goes exactly right back to what you're talking about these people projecting. Projection was off the charts. Glad to see that our JP bros are finding similar sentiment about that. A response they got says, there were some Twitter feminists who said pencil sharpeners were obscene. They find sex in all things. Oh gosh. Actually getting that at pencil sharpeners, yeah, it's not surprising at all. Another response says, you, I guess you know, like they must be hungry for a man and frustrated. Another saying, that kind of feminist thinking is disgusting. This one making a really good point, saying, you say I would like a reverse version, but if it was reversed from the beginning, would it be discrimination against women, such as men being able to eat leisurely at home while women are forced to work overtime? I guess they would say something like that. And here's another really good one. It says, I usually eat cup noodles when I work overtime. My female colleague also eats it. At my workplace, many people eat cup noodles during overtime. Have the Twitter feminist posting Tsukomi never worked? Twitter feminist ideas are more repulsive. And lastly, we'll take a look at this one. It says, it's better to think of this as the sound of an animal saying that. I'm not saying what caused it, but it's impossible to have a conversation. Is this person saying that Twitter feminists are basically just like, just animals? Is that what he's saying, or what? Yeah, we'll leave it there, though. It's the last we're taking a look at. Let me know what you guys think about all of that. If you want to see more of these comments in the video itself, I will link this video in the description for you. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed my coverage. And if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey guys, welcome back. This Neon. I am here with a very esteemed video game director, creator, Hideo Kojima, was confused by the movie. He didn't understand what was going on.
Because, like we pointed out many times, if you don't watch
what the Jesus?
Right. This is coming from a guy who makes confusing games himself, right? But he said that he did not watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he didn't know what's going on. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about Rob Liefeld saying...
Oh, it's coming down to me. It's coming down to me.
And days are behind him, and we need to replace him with somebody else to run Marvel. We're going to talk about the drop-off again.
Oh,
no! Dropped 82%. Weekend, 68%, but it's a massive failure, right? And I do not expect Thunderbolts to do better. I really don't. I mean, it's just the leftovers. We should have just called
Jesus. Oh, my soul. Oh. Oh. Oh, Jesus.
So, let's just orient to
Oh my God. That could have ended very badly. I gotta upgrade. Oh. 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 Jesus. All right, he went over there. Let me hurry up and get this. After I get this, I think that's enough. I'm gonna just go ahead and head back. Ugh. Yeah, that's enough. I'm not gonna risk it. I bet it is. I bet it is. Man. I better hurry up and rush back. I'm running low on power. Actually, let me go ahead and get something to eat.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
I mean, I already made one. I guess it wouldn't hurt to make another one. You know what? Actually, I think I can low-key move this further down. If I can move this further down and put a power translator here to attach to power from my base to power this machine, I think I'll be good. And I even... Nah, that's too much. The base is already here and it's already attached. Nah. However, I am gonna make this base a little more bigger. That's something I'm definitely gonna do. Ooh, that's bad. Yeah, let me. Ah, fudge.
Hull integrity restored. Draining systems initiated.
That's good enough for now. Yeah, this is nice.
Engine powering down.
Well, make sure to continue. Thank you for watching. See you later. Savage King God out.